Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I am here with Colleen. We don't have your name up, Colleen, because I
Oh
took it down
no.
before. You know what happens on Instagram? We get that thing over our head. So sometimes I delay it. Anyway, I'm here
Right.
with Colleen LeMay from c2accounting.com to talk about bookkeeping mistakes interior designers make from online advice. This is a big one, Colleen, because there's a lot of advice online. So
Oh my
welcome.
goodness.
Get
Yeah,
us
thank
started.
you. So if you are ever on TikTok, you will hear some pretty interesting things and lots of strange advice. I mean, it doesn't even matter what industry you're in, they're experts, and obviously I'm using air quotes with that, in every industry that's giving bad advice. So one of the big ones that they just talk about, basically you can write off everything as a business owner. Like, oh, just write it off. You're going to a business party, go get that dress and the Prada bag and write it off. And I'm like, no, we don't want to do that.
So what if the
um,
Prada bag is being used to carry stuff to and from clients' houses?
so let me tell you, I actually had someone try that, and I was
I
like,
know.
that is up to your tax accountant, but I can tell you there's no way that is considered a business expense. Because when it comes to like taxes, and this is not tax advice, right? Let's always preface by saying that. But when it comes to stuff like that, it's always what's reasonable. And having a $10,000 purse is your business bag. Come on, let's be real, right?
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but writing it off, some people also give really bad advice, like this is not even necessarily related to interior designers, but you have extra income on your books at the end of the year. So go out and buy something, go out and buy a car or buy a new truck or buy this, just spending money so you can reduce your taxes. But I'm like, how is that investing long term in your future? Right. Like now, if you needed a new work vehicle, if you needed a new computer and you were like, well, do I buy it in December or January? And you have the cash, then that's a strategic move, right? Let's go ahead and buy it in December because this year we did well. But spending money just to reduce taxes doesn't make any sense, right? There are other ways you can do it. You can do things like investing in your IRA or a 401k. There are ways to reduce your tax liability, which doesn't mean just spending money. Being careful about what you write off, because at the end of the day, if you sign the papers that says this is my tax return and I'm saying everything is right, you're on the hook for it. Right. So making sure that you're comfortable with what's being represented for your business. And then start looking at how you plan for profit. So that's the biggest thing. Don't listen to everything you hear online and don't try to write off everything. The cleanest advice is that if it's an expense directly being used in your business, it should most likely be a business expense. That's it. I mean, how complicated is that? Not very complicated, right?
No, but we try to sneak other things in sometimes, and really we shouldn't be doing
Um,
that, is what you're
yeah,
saying.
no. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I'm
Yeah.
saying I'm also more conservative in that regard. Like I like sleeping at night. So
Yes.
it's if you
Not
don't if you
thinking
don't
the auditor's knocking at your door
right.
because
I don't want to think about, and if they do knock on my door, I want to be able to just hand over my books and go, there's nothing in there that's wrong. So have at it. And if you don't have that kind of peace, then you're setting yourself up for a lifetime of stress.
yes, absolutely. And I always say
Yeah,
that if you can put your head on the pillow at night and it's okay, just understand the decisions you're making. So you're
that's
basically
right.
saying, understand what write off means. If you're writing it off through your business and it's not a business expense, it's not something you should be writing off
And
as
talk to your
a
tax
rule.
accountant. That's a rule.
Talk to your cat tax accountant because they'll be the
Exactly.
ones that tell you whether it's the right move or not such a good move.
Exactly. So that was
Okay.
mistake number one,
Okay.
just writing off everything. So number two, the other mistakes we see interior designers make, the one we've talked about 1,000 times on this show, mixing business with personal. Like, I don't know how much we can talk about this. And I'm not referring to like I was at the store, I forgot my business card, and so I used my
Yes.
personal card, or vice versa. That happens. I mean, people who purposely commingle funds for whatever reason, including to get points. So what I've seen happen is I have a personal Amex card or a personal Capital One card, and instead of me getting one just dedicated for business, I'm going to start putting stuff on personal cards, but then I'm going to do stuff over here because I'm trying to get all these different points, and you're creating a bookkeeping nightmare for yourself and for your bookkeeper. Now, if it's your bookkeeper, we're going to charge you more money to kind of untangle all of this mess, right?
Yes.
Have dedicated buckets for business and personal. And if
So a
you're brand
dedicated credit card, a dedicated bank
bank
account,
account, Right. And if you're a new business, and let's say you don't have business credit established, and you're like, I'm going to use a personal card for business, there's nothing wrong with that. Just use that one card or the two cards and have them strictly for business purposes, as opposed to putting things here and putting things there. The other thing is you could be missing out on business deductions. So let's say you did put some things on a personal card, you forget about them because you have
Yes.
10 cards you're juggling. Well, now you've missed, going back to number one topic, you've missed those deductions you were so desperately trying to write off, and
I
now they're
know.
not in your books. So
What
yes.
I'm hearing is try to be organized and separate.
Yes.
Organized in your business. Imagine that. Knowing which bank account you're using, which credit card you're using, not mixing them, not writing off things you shouldn't for your personal life. If it happens, your bookkeeper can correct it. But if you're not
Yes.
organized, this could be happening all the time and just creating a mess for you.
And you, in reality, there's some people who just aren't naturally organized, right? So
Yes.
figuring out systems that work with how your brain works, and finding a bookkeeper that can also work with how you work, and coming up with a process that will make it easier for you to do things the right way.
Yes. And that would be you.
That
But
would be
anyway,
me.
keep going.
All right. So let's talk about number three. Number three would be treating your client's money like it's your money. So in this industry in particular, because you are getting a lot of funds up front to handle client purchases, you definitely want to be super careful about how much money is earmarked for procurement. And your advice, my advice, have a separate account just for that. It just
Yes.
makes it a lot easier. I've seen people get into trouble because stuff happens, right? I'm
Yeah.
just going to leave it at that. Stuff happens. And so they start robbing Peter to pay
To pay
Paul.
them.
And
Yeah.
I have never seen people really dig their way out of that hole. Once you start doing that, it becomes a hole that's very hard to come out of. So having that separate account makes it easier. We just did a lunch and learn the other day with co-sponsored by Ramp that was talking about managing project spending without all the chaos. So that's a great one. That's on our YouTube channel as well. Figuring out ways to be able to use your spending to control and understand how much you're actually spending on your projects, because that's what a lot of people want to understand. Am I profitable, not just as a business, but for my
Yes.
individual client projects? And we've kind of come across a way it's going to help that. So definitely understand client's money is client money and your money is your money.
Yeah, and we have a profitability analyzer that's free on my website that it has them break it down by client. How much has
Hmm.
the client given to you? How much did they spend on furniture? How much did you spend on furniture? How many hours? So we could tell in the end how profitable you were on just the furnishings and the purchases and how profitable you are overall on the job. And it's important for everyone to do that at the end of every job so they can make adjustments, right?
Exactly. And if you're tracking that in QuickBooks, it makes it even easier because now you can push a button and run a report,
Yes,
right? And I know that
absolutely.
people don't want to go back afterwards. So let's do the work up front to make it easier at the end,
Do
right?
they need an upgraded version of QuickBooks to do that?
Yes, so you would definitely need the version of QuickBooks so that you can track, which is the plus version, because
Okay.
you will then have to be able to tag or categorize your cost of goods sold to a client, and that's only in the plus and up. So yeah.
Okay, good. I wanted to make sure we're
Um,
okay with that.
Yes, definitely the plus version. And so, in the same vein of treating client money like it's your money, it's also ignoring your sales tax responsibility. So, treating the government's money like it's your money because that's not yours either. So,
Yes.
have you ever heard people say this? "Oh, I don't. I've got to pay sales taxes. I owe sales taxes." It's like, no, you don't owe sales taxes. You're just remitting the taxes you collected on behalf of the state. So when you take it
Yes.
out of your mind, the way you're thinking, like this has never been my money, that also helps. If clients are looking, or interior designers are looking at their profit and loss reports, which we have videos about that, it will not include sales taxes. So like if you have a $10,000 invoice and there's $1,000 of sales taxes, so now it's 11,000 on your P&L, it's only going to show the 10,000 because that $1,000 in sales tax is not income.
It's
So
not yours.
it's not yours. It doesn't even show up on your P&L. So that also could tell you it's never been your money, right?
Right, but they
Um,
see it in the bank and they automatically think, "Oh, I've got an extra whatever," not realizing all the time because 'cause they're intermingling.
Which is what you told them. The other thing we talk about is not only having a separate client account, but having a separate tax account. So
Absolutely.
having a separate tax account to save for taxes, like your income taxes, but also putting money away from for your sales taxes. And most of the software will tell you at any time what your liability is. So like in design files, you can run a report and you can see how much you've collected in sales tax for that month. In House Pro, they actually have a sales tax report. So, and in QuickBooks, there's a very simple sales tax report. So you at any given point in time in the month can know how much have you collected, which should equal, right, what you have put away in the bank account for what you need to save for your sales
Yes,
taxes. And then you
exactly.
can add a little bit of interest. If you don't have to pay it till next month, why not earn a little interest throughout the month while it's sitting there? So that's a
Absolutely.
really good one.
I like
When
that
it
one.
comes to sales taxes, one of the biggest confusing things I think people have run into that I see a lot is they go, well, I pay sales taxes on this when I bought it. So they went retail, they went to um, yeah, Crate and
Whatever
Barrel or
property
somewhere,
bond
yeah,
they
someplace
don't. Yeah.
in person. So I'm not going to charge my client sales taxes. And that's a big no because every state that I've ever come across is a final user or final destination tax. So that means whoever is the final purchaser of the item has to pay sales tax. And you as an interior designer are just the middleman. You're like a retailer. So here's a great analogy that I came up with. I think is great. Hopefully you do too.
All right,
So
let's hear it.
this is what I've been explaining to people. I said, okay, pretend you're a candy store. Okay. So you're a candy store, and normally you go to your wholesaler and you buy your candy. You come back and you sell it at your cash register, which of course you're going to charge sales taxes. One day there's something happening and you're running low because it's just so busy. So you send someone to go next door to the grocery store, buy candy. They're buying it retail, right? They have to pay sales taxes. Then you bring it back to your store. As you're ringing people up, you're not going to go, well, this pack of candy came from the grocery store next door, so I don't have to charge sales taxes versus this pack of candy that I bought from a wholesaler. You would never do that. You would
Right.
just charge sales tax. And I said, you are just a glorified candy shop as a interior designer.
If you're doing it that way.
Yeah, there's absolutely no difference. How you're supposed to charge sales taxes is the exact same. And that's the simplistic way of the easiest analogy I could think of to get people to go, okay, it clicked.
Okay, but if you have your own business, you have a resale certificate, so you should be buying the candy wholesale.
You should, exactly. But we all know when it comes to installation day, when they're doing accessories, they're running around, they're sending
Yes,
an
ma'am.
assistant, and they're just going to the store and we need a pillow. Oh, we forgot, we got to grab this. It happens, but understand it does not mean you don't have to charge sales taxes. Or when people in the very beginning, before they kind of get their resale certificates and they're just like, they just kind of fell into the industry and they're just hurry up, like, oh, I got a client, I'm so excited, let me just go buy stuff. And
Yeah.
so they think, well, I paid sales tax, I don't have to charge it.
But
I'm
it is
telling you.
true then that the state is getting double sales tax on the same item, plus whatever margin you've added to it. They get the sales tax on that, but it still doesn't mean you can't charge it.
It doesn't mean you're not supposed to charge it. Not that you can't. Here's not just that you're not supposed
True,
to.
that you're supposed to charge it.
You are
Good.
supposed to. So there are some states, there's very few, but there are a couple of states that may let you on your actual return get a credit for what you've paid. But
Um,
I've actually called a couple of states and they're like, I don't know what to tell you. Don't buy things retail. Like I kid you not, it was literally that the lady was that blunt. And I was like, I knew this, but my client didn't believe me. So I just felt the need to call you just to make sure I have it, from the horse's mouth. And if you're again not sure about your state, call your
yeah,
Department of Revenue and ask questions. They will happily give you the right answer.
make sure you're doing it right is the
Make
bottom
sure you're
line.
doing it right. Because if
And
you
if
ever
they're
get
not doing
audited,
it right, tell them what to do.
they can always reach out to us. And that was our last mistake is waiting too long to fix their messy books. So if you are
Yes.
an interior designer and you're struggling with sales taxes, commingling funds, not knowing where the money's going, not putting things aside for procurement or sales taxes, get a good bookkeeper. If it's not C2 accounting, someone else, but definitely get a great bookkeeper to help you kind of make sense about all of that.
Absolutely. And I have to tell you, once you have a good bookkeeper, it changes everything. It makes you feel calmer. You have someone to talk to who speaks English, not just accounting, right? Which is a big
It
plus.
is, yeah.
And I always say the same thing. I love you as our bookkeeper. I recommend you to all our clients, and especially because there's never a stupid question. I ask you some really stupid questions. You never make me feel stupid. right? And my clients say the
Never.
same thing. They get to meet with you every month if they need to and ask a couple of clarifying questions. And it makes all the difference in the world when you're not worrying about whether you're doing your QuickBooks right or not.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly. And
amazing.
peace of mind. We all have enough stress in our lives. Your bookkeeping should not be an added source of stress.
Oh, I like that whole sentence. You should put that on a banner somewhere.
All right, I'm going to get it laminated. We can put it above my head the next time we talk.
I think so. I think that's the sentence. Okay. Anything else you want to tell everyone before we say goodbye and see you next time?
No, that's it. Just hopefully if any of this resonates with them, take action now. Don't wait until October, November, December. Like
Yes.
it's early enough in the year where you can really get a hold of things and kind of steer the ship in the right direction. Don't wait.
Yes. Please don't wait till January, February, March of next year and reach out to Colleen then. Although you can, I'd
You
prefer you do it
can.
now and get your books in order, get yourself calm, understand your numbers, and your business life will feel so much better. For sure.
Yes, I
So,
agree.
all right, reach out to c2accounting.com, talk to Colleen, get on her calendar for a free conversation about your books, and then you'll lead them from there as to your system to get them onboarded or what they
Yes.
need.
Whatever they need. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. See you next time.
See
Thanks,
you next
Colleen.